All right, folks, we are back. The Yankees are 7-2. They win their first game of the regular season at home, following man, that was so disappointing. The shutout loss, the first shutout loss since 1967. But this one was also a little disappointing. A win is a win, but to go up 9-2 and to end up having it be 9-8 at the end of the day, not ideal. Man, this went exactly how I thought it would with Clarky. Okay. I thought Clark, Schmidt looked exactly what I expected. Some good, some not so good towards the end of his start. But Kevin Gausman, I did not expect them to get to him, but there's some concerns, all over the internet right now about him. I think he's hurt. I mean, his velocity was just absolutely plummeting. So I don't want to take too much credit away from the Yankees because, they got to him early and often. But I hope Gosman's okay. I don't know if this is like an epidemic going on in baseball right now, but it seems like there are a lot of injuries. And MLBPA comes out today and says it's because of the pitch clock. I don't know if it's just the pitch clock. I mean, I think just the way baseball is today. I saw an interesting quote. They're not even pitchers anymore. They're just throwers of a baseball. And I kind of understand what they're talking about is that you have these guys that back in the day, we always knew that one guy that would throw 91 and then just be like, yeah, he throws 91. That's just what he does. He finds other ways to get guys out. Now that's not acceptable. Now you have to be throwing 95, 96.
There were
You
more
have to be,
Hendricks.
you have to be really pushing, with the velocity. So I know that's a lot to unpack there, but let's just start off with those two, that matchup. What did you think about it? And then we can get into kind of all the nuance about what's going on with Gausman and so forth.
Yeah, well, first of all, when it comes to Schmidt, I think this type of outing is what you come to expect. Sometimes he's just going to flat out give you 4 1/3. He'll get hit towards the end of that start or in the first inning, and it's going to be a bullpen day. And you mentioned this actually last episode. You thought this might be a bullpen day. You were right, of course. And, sometimes we're wrong, and we'll bring that up later in the show. At least in the short term, Giancarlo Stanton had a great day today, which was awesome. But as far as the matchup goes, Schmidt was what we'd expect, but Gausman, you don't see a guy throwing 96. Anytime I envision what Kevin Gausman is, I see 96 miles an hour. That's just what I envision. And when you start seeing 91, 92 on the gun, that doesn't just happen, okay? Something is wrong. Now, is the injury severe? Is it not? Is he not recovering from his last start? Who knows what the injury is? Because one thing I will say is that the Yankees still have to hit, okay? So we have to still give them credit. They still had to swing at strikes. They were laying off his splitter all day, and I'm going to give them credit. I also saw at bats from Juan Soto today, lefty on lefty, going the other way and just taking great at bats, swinging 3-0, which I thought was actually really nice. But as far as Kevin Gausman goes in this Blue Jays rotation, last year they were very healthy. They had the benefit of the doubt pretty much all year. They were piling up innings. And ultimately, that's beneficial as the season goes on. Toronto, I think, was a little bit better in what people remember last year. But that's also considering they got a ton of innings. Well, when you see a guy who's 96, 97, maybe can touch 98, and he's hitting low 90s early in the season, it doesn't look great. So, yeah, we never want to see anyone go down with injury. That's just not how we want to beat guys. But you're starting to see we're kind of drawing common denominators and drawing conclusions, you can say, about why guys are getting hurt. I would probably say the fact that guys just flat out aren't getting on the field unless they throw hard. Okay. It is very seldom that we talk about a top prospect that is not throwing at least 96 miles an hour. People don't remember this. Maybe our audience is young. Who knows what they've seen? But the average fastball, when my dad came in the league, I think that's a very good time to mention. He came in 1988. The average fastball was 90.5 miles an hour. Okay. The average fastball today is almost 93 miles an hour. That's
a significant jump.
It's a significant boost. Now, obviously, When you're talking about velocity, if someone throws 90, 91, 92, all the way up to 105 miles an hour, which we've seen, there's more stress on your body, more stress on your tendons, more stress on your legs, and making sure that your mechanics all season long can sustain the type of velocity you're putting forward, not just on your fastball, but harder sliders. Garrett Cole's adjustment coming from Pittsburgh. What was that adjustment? He got rid of the loopy slider. He went towards a hard slider and brought a knuckle curve into his game. So more velocity seems like the solution. So yeah, can the Players Association say, hey, the pitch count is just not working in our favor and be upset? Yeah, I probably would be upset too. I think there's something there, but am I willing to draw a conclusion yet? I mean, I'm no scientist, so I don't know exactly what the issue is, but I'm at least looking at it.
No, I definitely think that's something that will be looked at. If they lose Gosman, it's not good for the Jays. I'm just gonna say it right now. They would have to make a move. I haven't. I mean, we kind of talked about this. We're not overly high on them in general.
Right.
You know, this is kind of a brutal season for them because you know they have the first 10 games of the year, they start on the road. I mean, whoever made the schedule did not like them very much. So they've done a nice job of kind of hanging in there 4-5, better than I expected. But in this game, just looking at this game, the way it went down, I thought Torres had an at bat that really spoke volumes to me. He gets down 0-2, you know, he fights back and, you know, he almost had a grand slam.
He deserved it, probably.
He really, I think I texted you that. Yeah. He really deserved that grand slam, man. He battled back hard. That was when he was really, you know, just up in that pitch count. So that was really frustrating that, you know, he didn't get that, just got underneath it. But you bring a run home. I mean, that was really important at bat. You mentioned Soto, Judge with the 2-run jack, Rizzo with the home run, Stanton going 3 for 4 with the home run. Verdugo did nothing today, so I'm sure he's going to hear it. Volpe had a really interesting play that we were just talking about how it never happens. And now we've seen catcher's interference twice in the last, 3-4 games?
Yeah.
Volpe's is very interesting. I think it's the right call, and here's why. I know people were saying he swung afterwards. You're watching it in slow motion, okay? I think he was that late on picking up the ball. I don't think he was purposely swinging afterwards to try to stop, you know, to get a call. The guy's glove also shouldn't be like right in the zone like that. Right. So, you know, I saw people saying, of course, people that didn't like the Yankees were saying, oh, well, he swung afterwards knowing that he was going to take the pitch, saw the catcher's mitt come across, and then it was a smart baseball play. I actually disagree. I think he was off a tick. I think he had a hard time picking up the baseball, and he swung and was going to miss. But you got to let him swing. I mean, you can't just say, well, the ball was already in the glove, so it doesn't count. It's like it's still catcher's interference if I'm trying to swing the bat.
Yeah, I agree with you in the way that the rule was applied. I think that was the correct call. But in my opinion, and this is where I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I know this is a Yankee show, and I know I'm supposed to want Anthony Volpe on first base. All this is true. But if you swing so late that you can see in the replay, yeah, this guy wasn't even freaking close to touching the ball. And the only reason that he would be on first base is because he hit the catcher's glove. Well, I hesitate to say that you deserve first base. That's what I'm saying. Is that
I agree with that.
In the way that the rule is applied, in the way that the rule is currently stated, this was the correct call. And I think that the broadcast did mention this, was that based on the rules, you can't allow Volpe to go back to the dugout and be out because the rules say if I touch his glove, I'm going to first base. However, nowhere in the rule book does it say, hey, this guy wasn't even freaking close. I feel like we just called like a goaltend on a guy's jump shot that was going to land in the crowd. Like that's essentially what it felt like. And Volpe was late. He was so late. I don't even know what to say about it. The swing wasn't even approaching the baseball. I mean, that's just what it was. So yes, I want Volpe on first base. I want him to get benefit of the doubt. But having said that, you can't swing that late at a baseball and Jacoby Ellsbury your way over to first base.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. It's just hilarious. We've seen it now twice in the last 4 games. Austin Wells is mashing the ball. It's just going into other guys' gloves, and it's really frustrating. And that's just baseball, Susan. That's what John Sterling would say. I mean,
right.
really, at the end of the day, you can. This is the sport. I mean, you can have a broken bat single win you the World Series, and you can also hit a missile 125 miles an hour at the center fielder, but the broken bat single does more damage. That's just baseball. I mean, sorry, this is the sport that we watch. Waldo's back in the lineup, instantly had a contribution. I thought it was a really nice piece of hitting to go opposite field. He went 1 for 4 today, had a nice run. I think all in all, this is a good day. Anytime you come away with 10 hits, you have 9 runs. This is a good day. Could it have been better? Yes. And in that way, it's not really on the offense. The offense woke up today. You're never going to be overly critical or be, super, micromanage, if you will, the offense. I mean, when you scored 9 runs, you should win all your games that you scored 9 runs in.
Yeah. And then we're also not going to freak out about, oh, Giancarlo's hitting 5th or whatever it is. Like, obviously he played really well today, but when the total of the offense scores 9 runs, we're not going to freak out about who comes off the bench, who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, anytime you go out there and get shut out, you're all going to look at the manager and be like, what strings do you need to pull? Well, sometimes, guys, there's not really any string to pull. We're swinging at balls. We're taking strikes. We're just fouling pitches off. We're giving up runs. We're walking guys. Like today, we walked a ton of guys. We walked 7. So, yeah, our arms today were kind of an issue. Ian Hamilton got tagged up a little bit, which was really shocking, but it was just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And luckily, Clay Holmes came out. He had his stuff. And it was interesting watching his pitch selection throughout the night and the fact that he was really featuring that slider, given the fact that he's throwing an upper 90s sinker. But that's what he was feeling tonight. And obviously, he had confidence in it. But it is really important how our players and our bullpen are feeling in terms of confidence, because when you lose Johnny Lowe, that's one of the bridge guys that we were going to be using 35 to 40 times this year, trying to pile up 50 some innings. Well, those innings are now gone. So there's more pressure on these guys like Ian Hamilton. And it is really important to get those innings out of our starters, because anytime our starters don't give us innings, it puts pressure on those guys to perform and it stretches them out. And anytime a pitcher stretched out of the bullpen, you're just creating more vulnerability than we would like to see. You're putting them in situations that otherwise they weren't anticipating to be in before the game started. Now, I know they're supposed to be prepared to pitch in any opportunity, but I promise you guys, in a baseball team, everyone's thinking pregame, what situations am I most likely going to come into the game? And I promise you, when they came into the game, they weren't expecting, I'm going to have to go 2 again today, right? The Yankees are scoring 9 runs. Schmidt looked like he was doing fine. And then all of a sudden he gets tagged up and Hamilton's coming into the game for multiple innings. So I say all that to say this. I'm happy because the Yankees showed that they can get off the mat and score some runs. They did exactly that against Gaussman of all people. And I'm just happy to see some of the bats. Obviously, Verdugo didn't do much today, but to see Stanton do anything, I mean, hey, a win's a win.
Yeah. A few things I want to bring up here. Torres, huge stolen base, gets him, scoring position. There you go. That was huge. And now we know, every run, there was no insurance runs. They needed 9 to win. We know that now. This is interesting. So called strikes, swinging strikes, foul balls, in play strikes. Box scores have gotten so much better than they used to be. They just have all these things now. But I find this really interesting, Gary. Swinging strikes, Holmes, 3. Weaver, 3. Schmidt, 10. Hamilton, 0. So the reason I bring that up is it's not that Hamilton wasn't he wasn't pitching good enough to get whiffs. It was that they were taking those pitches, letting him pound the zone. And then when he got to 0-2, they're not swinging at anything outside of the zone. And I noticed that. And I think Hamilton was a little surprised. They had a different approach than anybody that he's seen this year. I thought Houston was aggressive when he was out there, really trying to swing for the fences and, the D-backs. So what I'll say is this: This is a big opportunity for Hamilton now. This is the first time he's really faced a team that just had a really good scouting report on him. I think that's what we saw today. I think the Jays, we got to give them credit. I think that they were ready and willing to be like, look, we know what your strikeout pitch is, and we're not going to swing at it. So you're going to have to give us something in the zone. And when he did, they were able to tee off on him. I don't think this is a common thing, but this is just one of those bumps in the road where when you're a dominant relief pitcher, eventually there's going to be a team or two that figures out, okay, this is your strikeout pitch. This is a pitch that you'll go to here and so forth. And I just thought the Jays did a great job hitting him. Luke Weaver, I mean, baseball's funny, is it not? I mean, he's got 3 wins on the year, and I don't think he's pitched well in 2 of those 3 wins. And
he might be the first 20-game winner out of the bullpen. He's going to blow every game and then win it for us.
Victor Gonzalez looked outstanding. I was actually pretty surprised.
Credit to him.
Got to give him a lot of credit. They needed it. He pitched an inning in the third. Then they went to Hamilton. I actually wasn't a big fan after Victor Gonzalez walked a batter. I thought it was close, by the way. I thought he got hosed on a couple of those. I wouldn't have just gone right to Hamilton. I love Hamilton. And this is not hindsight's 2020. I actually
go to.
In the moment, I was stuck with Victor Gonzalez. I like the way he was pitching. I thought it was kind of a fluky, ball 4. You know what I mean? I've seen some of those, and it's like, you want to see, and this is just us having a show critiquing Boone in a sense, but you just want to see Boone be like, all right, have some understanding, like, hey, that was a good at bat. We're getting kind of screwed early on. Every team is really. I mean, the umpiring is not good. And I think Victor Gonzalez easily could have gone in there on the next batter and turned that thing around without having to put Ian Hamilton in. At that point, it's 9-5. I think they should have stuck with him. But I understand going to Hamilton because he's been so dominant that
I was just going to say, I think that there's, in some form or fashion, we look at Ian Hamilton as the ultimate hose to put out a fire at this point, because he's been our best pitcher. I know Holmes technically his ERA says all zeros. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, but for the most part, he's unscathed. And Hamilton's ERA is 4.26. So just looking at those numbers, you would assume that Clay Holmes has been our most reliable pitcher. That actually has not been the case. Our best pitcher out the bullpen has by far been Ian Hamilton. So yes, like, it's easy for us. And this, like you already knew this coming in, that we're all hindsight Hanks and we get to judge decisions after the fact. Now you were mentioning, and you've mentioned it before, okay, this guy comes in and that guy comes in. I don't like this move. And we like to make those calls right then and there so that there's actually some weight behind it. Yeah. But having said that, why would Aaron Boone think that bringing Ian Hamilton into this game, into a free swinging offense that Toronto has proven to be? And it's very surprising when you bring a guy who essentially, we're saying, if they're swinging at his slider, you're out. Okay. The way Ian Hamilton pitches, that slider's wipeout. So it was a surprise to me to see the patience that Toronto had today against him.
I agree.
That patience pretty much turned the game upside down, and we almost farted the game away, essentially. And that's unfortunate. But really what that did, and it was really incredible job from Toronto, is that it sets up tomorrow where there's more pressure on our starting pitcher to go innings. So that performance tomorrow is going to be that much more important. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. What time's the game tomorrow, by the way?
I think it's 1:15 or no, 1:35. I think it is
1:35. Yeah. So who do we have on the mound?
Couldn't be just 1:05.
It never could be 1:05. Who do we have starting tomorrow?
Heel. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he still has that pitch count on him, which I believe was 75 pitches the last time he went out.
Didn't they let him go up to over 80?
I don't think so. I think he didn't get the win. They pulled him and he was smiling. He was happy. I mean, why wouldn't he be? And he understood what was at work. They probably told him before the game, it doesn't matter. Right. He was trying to win, but I would assume he's still on somewhat of a pitch count. Maybe they boost it 5 pitches. Who knows what they do, but I guess we have that information tomorrow.
He had 84 the last game. So, I mean, I think really what it was is they probably would have let him go, but you're at 4 2/3 innings and he didn't get past that batter. Remember, he walked that batter.
Yes,
So
he
that like
did.
guarantees that you're going to be in kind of probably the 90 range. And they were a little worried about that. So, I mean, I get it. And if you know the way guys are getting hurt and you have him coming off Tommy John, I would be cautious with him. I mean, he is
Yes.
too important. I think he's better than Schmidt. I think Schmidt is going to be really good as a bullpen weapon. And I think we saw that today. I think he's somebody who, because that's the thing, like he's somebody that can give you like, I mean, he could give you 4 innings out of the bullpen and he could save,
Definitely.
you know, your guys some days where it's like, hey, Boone, I know you love putting in 3, 4, 5 guys, but how about you just put in Clark Schmidt and just, you know, ride the wave. Bowden Francis tomorrow, I think is going to get absolutely rocked. I do not foresee this being a good day for the Blue Jays. This is a disappointing ending to a serious comeback by them. If you know, you're them, they don't know. They're probably going to get some bad news about Gausman. And so they're going to wake up. They're going to get that bad news because I don't think it's going to be good, Gary. I really don't.
At the very least, we're going to get a arm fatigue.
He's going on the 60.
Some time off.
I think.
At the very least, it might be a skip start. I'm just saying at the very least, because I would be surprised. You have to remember what we just saw. Because let's use a comparable player in Luis Severino. Okay, we've had this exact situation pan out in New York before.
I know. Now, I was there for the Cincinnati Reds game when he just gave up 3. That was so sad. You knew it. You knew it was done.
Yeah, and when we think of Sevy, you think 96 to 98. That's what you're envisioning. Now, if you went to 90? A start, if he's throwing 90 miles an hour. You don't know from the stands or from your TV what the problem is. We don't know. We're not the pitching coach. We're not the trainer. We have no idea. All I know is that pitchers who sit 96 miles an hour with their fastball don't deliberately throw the ball 90 miles an hour with their fastball. That doesn't help them in any way. Okay. Now, you can make the argument that at some point or another, baseball executives are going to have to make a decision that maybe we should dial back the velocity, not from a sense of, hey guys, can you deliberately start throwing the ball slower? No, but putting more of an understanding on and basically making a decision. We want to get guys in here that prioritize control, but still have enough stuff to miss bats. And what we're seeing is essentially an over pursuit of stuff, and it's having its consequence. It's really good to throw 99 all the time. I would rather throw 99 than 91. But is it more likely you're going to stay on the field throwing 99 as opposed to 91? It's not. So that's where we're at right now in baseball. We can blame the pitch count, or not the pitch count, but the pitch clock all we want. And I'm sure it has some effect, but we can't really argue that throwing 100 miles an hour is the same as throwing 92. That's all.
I agree. We also just don't know if it's the pitch clock.
We don't.
And the thing is, when we don't know things, we get scared about things. When you don't know why a guy is getting injured, when you don't know why all these guys are getting injured. I mean, you texted me early this morning, broke my heart. Bieber was pitching well to start the season. Now he's done for the year. Like you see Bieber and McClanahan and Woodruff, and you're like, it's a laundry list of names within the last 6-7 months. It's like when you don't know, you start, kind of panicking. I mean, it's the same thing. Like if something's wrong with your car, you just start panicking. You start listing out things like, what could it be? And then you start never go on Google when you have issues with anything.
Oh, I go on WebMD. They pretty much tell me I have cancer every time.
Hey, you got a stomach ache? Oh, you definitely have appendicitis.
Right.
They it gets to the point where they're yelling at you. You can feel it through just the the ask the Google answers or whatever.
Oh yeah. If I have a stomach ache,
at the ER yet?
I look up WebMD and I look at my wife and I say, hey babe, I guess I have a mass the size of a football in my stomach. So
It's just
I'm
like
ready to go.
they just 0 to 60. That's the same thing with the NFL, the MLBPA, and the same thing with the NFLPA. If anything happens, the Players Association is going to raise the alarm, and they are going to raise it loud and proud, and they're just going to try to find the best course of action. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong in doing that. They're just trying to find the best course of action to solve something. And this is a problem. They're trying to solve it. And to be honest with you, I was thinking about it as somebody that's pitched before, and I don't really know if the pitch clocks would make any difference.
Can I read off this tweet that I saw earlier from Kevin Youkilis? So he had a pretty unique perspective on this. Now, he said, another ace down and another getting an MRI on his elbow and Spencer Strider. Now, this is before he knew that Strider needed Tommy John. Are we finally going to have a serious discussion on pitching philosophies that have seen an increase in pitches or pitchers being operated on? Bieber's velocity was up 2 miles an hour this year. That's very interesting because Bieber is not a power pitcher.
No.
But I do believe Bieber, was he in the final year of his contract?
Yes. That's why I felt really bad for him. Like this morning when you texted me that, like, he's final year of his contract. Who is taking him on? Like, that's going to be 2 years.
Yeah. And I guess what it goes to show, and to Kevin Youkilis' point, is that in order to get paid and to be seen as an ace and a power arm, which we can acknowledge that Shane Bieber has had he's had a down year before. So
yeah,
so essentially what happened is that Shane Bieber probably came into the season and wanted to overextend himself, you could argue. Now, to miss bats, I think velocity, we can all agree, goes hand in hand with missing bats. It doesn't mean you're going to miss bats because you throw 98, but it sure helps. It's the reason guys do it. Otherwise, they would all throw 85. That's just the case.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm wondering, was Shane Bieber trying to overextend himself so he could prove that he's this $350 million guy, which I would argue he does have that potential, but it leaves you susceptible and overextending your body. And it honestly, I can't even say, it pretty much led him right down a rabbit hole where he's going to sign with Cleveland again and have to do another prove it situation, which is really just atrocious for him.
He really got screwed. And the thing that sucks is, so you're telling me, like, Cleveland, they tell him to throw harder. He throws harder. He gets hurt. Now Cleveland gets a discount. I don't know. Something about that ain't right. Now, I'm not saying they did that on purpose, but
of course not.
You know, it just, it sucks. Yeah, I do worry about Heel for that reason. Because, I mean, he can touch 100, 101. And you're like, well, guy coming off Tommy John rehab, is that going to come back to haunt him? I mean, right now he's looking great. Bieber looked like the best pitcher in the league, you know, in the first 2 games of the year. We were talking about him on this channel as an opportunity for the Yankees to go and get a guy who, look, if you're trying to win a World Series this year, it doesn't matter that he would be a rental, right? You'd go out and you get him, and if you think he's the missing piece, that's great. Well, now he's not an option. And you have guys like, you know, Spencer Strider and now Gausman. It's like, it's a lot of names. You just hope, man. And this is kind of how I feel like with contact sports, like heavy contact sports, you know, hockey, football. It's like, as a fan, you're kind of just hoping no one gets hurt. You just have to hope. I mean, look at Lowe. Lowe got hurt like off the clock. Like we didn't know, like he got hurt in the game, but we didn't know that. So we were going about our day thinking, oh yeah, the Yankees won, everything's good. Then nope, he's hurt. And you're like, what? And that's normally what happens. You know, you normally don't get to see, like, Spencer Strider was, you know, cussing up a storm. Like, he knew something was off. You could see that in the game, but that's not always the case. Sometimes things flare up overnight. You come back the next morning, you're like, hey, this isn't feeling right. Let's get this checked out. Gets it checked out. And they're like, yeah, you're done for the year. And it's just like, that's just the sad reality of injury. And it's just so different because with baseball, the injuries you're suffering It's not normally a torn Achilles, a torn ACL like some of the other ones. I mean, really, the biggest issue I think in baseball, the most dangerous, is probably being a pitcher. I think at this point, it's very dangerous because we're not even talking about getting the 100-mile-an-hour off the bat ball hit back at you. We're talking about just from a pure standpoint of throwing a baseball, unnaturally, by the way, because that's
And
not a
nothing leads
natural
up to
way.
it. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, no, there's no warning.
Nothing. There's no warning of this. Garrett Cole, I
happens.
promise you, at some point or another in the past 2 years, 3 years, I'd say, I kind of just looked at Garrett Cole and said, well, he's been so reliable when it comes to his health and being available for this team. Not just us, but for Houston as well.
You made the mistake of looking at him and saying, wow, that guy doesn't get hurt that often.
Yeah, that was my mistake, because what it leads you to believe is that, oh, well, Garrett Cole must just have cleaner mechanics, which when you watch him on film, you do see his mechanics are very clean. And you can see how he's putting less pressure on his arm with better form.
Back in the day, we thought that, but now it looks like anybody can get hurt.
It looks like anybody can get hurt, but I guess my question is,
mm-hmm.
What pitcher do we know that lived in the upper 90s that stayed on the field consistently? Because I can name you a player who, at the very least in his prime, was able to stay on the field and he was able to pile up 200 some innings. And there's a few of them, I'd say. One of them being Clayton Kershaw. Obviously, people remember him now for being a guy who struggles to stay on the field, but you have to remember, Clayton Kershaw, he's no spring chicken, okay? Yeah. This is not a young player. This is a guy who's a veteran who's trying to give you 125 innings, be ready for October. That's pretty much what his job is.
He's LA's version of Wainwright, because Wainwright last year was just like, I mean, he was their ace last year, but he wasn't supposed to be their ace last year.
Right. Here's another example. Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander is an example where he could throw the ball 102 on any given moment. But here's the interesting part. During his prime, where he was incredibly available and durable for his Detroit Tigers, he was throwing pretty much 94, 95 the entire game. And then he would rev himself up into the upper 90s. And that's what his plan was. And I remember asking him face to face, what's that about? Are you not trying? Are you not, like, what exactly is that? And he told me, and I was super young when he said this, he said, I can't allow my body to explode out there. I need to be available. That's all he said. I would explode. And what's interesting about that is, in my opinion, the greatest pitcher to ever grace a mound, and this might be a controversial thing to say, is Jacob deGrom. During his Cy Young years, had the best stuff of any pitcher I've ever seen in my entire life. And I sat in a room with my great uncle Dwight Gooden, and he looked me dead in my face and said, there is no way in the world you can sit there and give 220 innings to your team throwing 102 every pitch. It can't happen. It's not physically possible. And this is someone who knows the game. He understands what it's like to prepare your body. So I say all that to say this. At some point or other, we need a happy middle ground. Stuff, location. Now, there are guys who have great stuff and great location. But at some point or another, throwing with higher velocity has its drawbacks. There's not just no punishment. And that's something that we need to be aware of. And obviously, with guys like Heel on the mound for us, throwing 100 miles an hour, it makes you question whether or not these guys are long-term answers in the rotation.
No, I think it's a very fair point. By the way, Justin Verlander's trying to come back from a shoulder injury. He's going to make a rehab start. So, I mean, to your point, he's also 41, to be fair. But yeah,
he's supposed to be on a golf course right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he just loves the game too much. I don't think he can walk away. Let's talk about tomorrow's matchup. Yankees 7-2, trying to win another series to be their third straight after getting off to a rough start. And to be fair, we're beating up on the Yankees first game. And yes, the shutout sucked, but the pitching was outstanding. I mean, I don't even know if we talked enough about that with Stroman. Like, that was a really, and I think that's the thing that just bugs us so much. You get a start like that and you don't get a win, especially against a team like the Blue Jays after you just, dogged on Houston and, you beat you won the the series against the D-backs. It's like kind of annoying. But with this one, I definitely think they're going to win the series tomorrow, Gary. I think they're the better team, obviously. But I think Heel at Yankee Stadium, that sounds like a lot of fun. I think, he's going to be pumped. Going to be pumping fastballs by this team. That's going to be free swinging. I don't think it's a good matchup for the Jays. Because one thing I noticed about Heel is while, he can do some of the things that we talked about, with an Ian Hamilton, get you the chase outside. That's not really his bread and butter. He's really just trying to blow fastballs by you. He's got some other, great stuff, but he's pounding the strike zone. That's something we talked about early and often, just pounding the strike zone, getting you in 0-2 counts. And now it's like, man, I don't know what the heck he's doing. They're trying to guess what he's doing. And, then he throws a breaking ball completely away from the plate and you're swinging it like a garden hose. I mean, that's the thing. Heel has kind of put himself in that position based on the film that he's already put out there. That's kind of what to expect. But I don't think the Blue Jays are going to change. I mean, I know they made some adjustments for Hamilton. I think they're going to be free swinging. I think they're going to look at Heel and say, this guy hasn't proven anything. We're going to get, after him early on and often. We have a lot of hitters in the lineup. We have some power hitters that can, make your life miserable. And that's what they're going to try to do. On the flip side of things, I think the Yankees are just going to absolutely go to town on knocking Bowden Francis out of the game. The unfortunate thing about today with Gausman, aside from the injury, of course, is that you get to him so early that they just pull him, and it's like, you don't want to hit Francis too hard and have him get pulled. This is a guy you want to score like probably 2 runs on early on, rack up that pitch count and then get that one inning where he's just dead in the water and you can get the bases loaded with like a Soto or Judge up.
Yeah, we want to put up a crooked number late. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I think tomorrow, I'm not worried about Francis at all on the mound. That's just all it is. But the most important thing for me is that Heel is throwing strikes. If he's living inside the strike zone tomorrow, in my opinion, Toronto doesn't have much of a chance. Now, Obviously, it's baseball. We could lose tomorrow 11-0.
Yeah.
Right? It's baseball.
Sometimes you have your stuff. Sometimes you don't. I mean, Ian Hamilton didn't have his total stuff today. I mean, let's just be honest. So,
but Heel is coming into a performance that's on the heels. Look at that. On the heels. Heel is coming in on the heels of a performance where our bullpen was overextended. We went with Hamilton, right? We tried to extend Hamilton. It didn't work. We brought in Holmes. Now, what do we know about Holmes? Holmes is a guy who will come out there and he's going to look like Sandy Koufax. And then the next day you'll say, well, he doesn't quite look as fresh, which is normal, right? But his floor is lower than many players' floors when he's not right. And that's something Toronto should be aware of. That's what coaching is for. That's what a good manager would do, is they'd say, hey guys, yesterday we did a really good job of being patient and burning their bullpen. So coming in to tomorrow's game, Luis Heel, young pitcher, slow to the plate. If we can work some at bats, they're going to have to go back to guys that they frankly don't trust. We're not going to see Hamilton tomorrow, right? Holmes we may see. So yeah, the Blue Jays are in a situation where they're essentially all the pressure is on what they do against Luis Heel tomorrow. If they can't come out and make him work, because I can tell you right now, if Luis Heel is through 5 innings on 65 pitches, Toronto's lost that game. I'm here to tell you guys right now. So there's a lot of pressure on them to do their business essentially against our starting pitcher. And for us, we just got to come out and swing the bats, because I'm not frankly worried about what Toronto has in that bullpen.
Yeah, I really am not worried about Toronto at all. I got to be honest with you. Looking at tomorrow, I think this is.
I respect it.
Yeah, they're a better team than Toronto. Gausman was the one. We said it. We highlighted Gausman as like their Zach Gallen. Like that was going to be the tough game. And here we are talking about that win, and then they lost to Kabuti. So you never know.
I guess technically recent history showed we didn't do well against either guy. So today was more of a surprise.
Yeah, it was. Looking at the budget here, and I mean, this is kind of an older graphic, not super old, but so they had Ferguson go 17 pitches on the 5th. He didn't pitch yesterday, did he? Or he did?
He did.
Okay, so Ferguson's not pitching tomorrow.
Well, I mean, if
Back to back.
Ferguson, well, Ferguson, he didn't pitch today.
Well, he didn't pitch today, but you think they pitch him 3 times in the series or 3 times in the last, I don't know about that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, you can
I'm
never
trying to
really.
think of who's available tomorrow. And like, to be honest with you, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they say, Clay Holmes is available again tomorrow. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
I expect to see Clay Holmes tomorrow.
Well, I don't, because I think they're going to blow him out.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But I mean, I thought we were blowing him out today, and it just
sure looked like they were going to.
Yeah, and it just didn't work out. So, yeah, of course, we can always swing our way out of this situation, this whole bullpen, because that's the beauty of being able to score runs. That's part of the reason why everyone always wonders why can the teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves, why can they just, essentially tap dance their way through the season with essentially a mediocre bullpen, right? And then you get to the postseason, you say, wow, they seem to be getting more out of less here. Well, part of that is because they'll go out there and give you 13 runs in back-to-back days. And you'll say, wow, okay, well, I guess we don't need to see Gratterall today. Like, that's part of the beauty of scoring runs. So let's go ahead and say tomorrow that the offense just outswings Toronto, and we don't have to make these hard decisions. We don't have to put Boone in a situation where he has to make the right call about what to do with Hamilton or Victor Gonzalez, when to leave him in. At some point or another, we need to score, and our starting pitcher just needs to do his job, and we can put less pressure on a manager. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So, yeah, so I think I'll say Ferguson doesn't pitch. Gonzalez, they've used. Well, I mean, they used back-to-back on the first and the second, and then they used him. Did they use him in the 3-0 game? They did not. So they were using Victor Gonzalez today. They like going back-to-back with him, I've noticed. So
I think they like going back-to-back in general, because remember what Ian Hamilton, we were like, oh, okay, he hadn't thrown. He hadn't thrown, 2 innings in 6 days, and he was our best arm. So it seems like Boone likes to get guys in a rhythm and then keep them fresh for the next series, and then get a guy in a rhythm. Likes to basically have an understanding of, okay, what type of stuff does he have? And I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie to you. I dig that idea, because it's hard to say you're going to go 1 tomorrow and you're going to go 1 tomorrow. And then tomorrow, if you didn't pitch at all, you're going 1 and you're going 1, right? Like, that's the simple way to use your bullpen.
Yeah, and they don't have a day off, keep in mind. So they stay at the stadium. Miami, who's 0-9, by the way. So get a good look at Luzardo if he ends up being on the mound.
They lost today?
That's why I saw they were 0-9.
Good God, they're playing St. Louis.
Yeah, it ain't
they're
great.
Just atrocious.
All right, I'm gonna say Holmes is available in a save situation. Obviously, won't pitch just for the heck of it. I think Hamilton's available again. Okay, he pitched on the 3rd, and then he pitched today. Ferguson, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say Gonzalez is available. I'm gonna say Birdie is available. Weaver, I'm gonna say no, because they used him.
Birdie tomorrow.
I think so too. I think we see Birdie. Santana, do they want to get him some pitches going? He pitched 37 on the 5th. Could see that. Cousins has not pitched since the 2nd. So he pitched 40. He threw 40 pitches in that one. I think their bullpen's pretty open tomorrow. I would say Ferguson is absolutely not pitching tomorrow.
Well, I think best case scenario here, I would say best case scenario, we just rake, and then we just have what's his face come out there. The one who, what's his name? We made a video on him. I already forgot his name.
Jake Cousins.
Jake Cousins.
Yeah, I think Jake Cousins should be. He should be going 40, 50 pitches in this.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he went 40 in the on the 2nd. So,
look who we play. Guess who we play next series?
If you say
Miami,
I just said Miami. Why do you think I brought him up?
I don't know.
Was not like, oh yeah, Miami's 0-9. Like, no, like they're playing him next series. But
They may never win a game.
But you don't want to be the team that loses to them. Okay. So the first game, they got Luzardo. So this is important. And I don't want to get too much in this because we do have tomorrow's game, of course. But Luzardo, 6:05 on Monday at the stadium. They are going to get an up close and personal look at Luzardo because I think he 100% is an option at the trade deadline. Now, I'm not saying they need to trade for a pitcher at all. I'm not saying that. But if they did, Luzardo, being that he's 26 years old, this isn't just a guy you're getting to when you help you win a World Series this year. This is somebody who could be, that 1-2 punch to Cole. And then when, Cole hangs it up at some point, because, we don't know how long he'll pitch, Luzardo's 26 years old. He could be your ace.
Yeah, and by the way, we have actually really good numbers against Luzardo. I don't know if you've checked, but we actually hit him pretty well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which I guess with baseball, you can never be sure about what you're getting because, just because you played well before, we literally talked about it yesterday. We talked about Giancarlo Stanton's numbers, and they've been pretty much atrocious long term. And he just shows up today, and I wouldn't say he shut us up, but he came out and he performed. So you have to give him credit today. And Luzardo, he's gotten hit around, whether it's lefty on lefty, lefty on righty, didn't matter. The Yankees lineup that they're going to be trotting out there next week they've had success against Luzardo. So tomorrow would just be a huge boat of momentum for this team because, you're talking about a team, we can go get 8 wins tomorrow.
And then we're the last 10 that's to start the season.
How happy would you be if I told you, hey, we're not going to have Garrett Cole, but we're going to win 8 of our first 10 games. We're going to sweep Houston. We're going to go into Arizona, win that series, right? We obviously laid an egg in the middle of the series, but so what? We won the series. It happens. You come out here, you get off the mat, go win a series against Toronto. Now you get to go play the worst team in baseball. What else really can we ask for other than health?
The funniest thing, and I don't even know if you know this, you probably do, but I'm going to say this anyway. Funniest thing is that the 2 losses the Yankees have been shutouts. They just completely got shut down like the whole day. So it's almost like whether or not the Yankees are going to lose. Like if they're getting shut out late in the game, you're like, okay, this game's over. There's no rally. But they win every other game.
Yeah. So this is a Yankees unloaded guarantee. If you watch, just know this. Okay. Here's some insurance on your Yankees fandom. If you watch the first 4 innings or 3, let's just say 3 innings of Yankees baseball, and they're going into the top of the 4th inning and you see a 0 by the Yankees score on the score bug, just know you can just go ahead and call it a day.
I'll say by inning 6. Because they did start slow. Keep in mind, they did start very
early,
slow against the Astros. I think like by inning 6, if they have a 0, I don't care if it's 1-0. I don't care if it's 0-0. I'm not feeling pretty good about that. 3-0 and 7-0. So they've been shut out 10-0 in their losses. And their wins are
we get our money's worth.
9-8, 6-5, 5-2, 4-3, 5-3, 7-1, and 5-4. They've only had 1 blowout. That was against Houston. I think we get another one tomorrow. I think they're just going to absolutely destroy Francis personally.
Yeah. And are you worried about Vogelbach tomorrow?
No. God, no. People act like this guy hits 40 bombs a year. And I feel like I've been lied to. Like I see he has this, and I know I'm not the only one saying this, man. I know you could probably agree with me. Vogelbach, before we wrap this thing up, has this like reputation as this guy that's just going to go yard every which way. And it's like, he's not Schwarber. Okay. He's not. He hit 19 the 2 years combined he was with the Mets, So for a full 162 game season, if you combine the first, the 2 seasons, he had 19. Why is everyone acting like he's so great? He has a combined.
They act like he's Keisha Phillips, like he's just coming up to the plate and he's going to be just raking. Even our broadcasts, they said this, and I love our broadcast. I think we have one of the best broadcasts in all of baseball. Oh yeah. Now, having said that, they were sitting there talking about, hey, you can clearly see what Vogelbach's trying to do right here. Clearly, you saw a fastball away, right? And Vogelbach was late, and he was clearly wrapping and trying to hit the ball to right field. So there was a pretty accurate, summation of what was happening on the screen. But here's the crazy part. The numbers suggest otherwise. The numbers suggest that
he's not a very good player.
He has not. See, this is the thing. At no point or another am I even offering an opinion here. Nothing. There's no opinion here to offer. Let's just be clear. When you talk about a player who's deliberately trying to hit a home run every single time he gets up to the plate, you should probably look at the stat sheet in the long term. Okay. We're not just saying short term here. Let's not be nearsighted. Let's look at his numbers. Okay. Home runs. The last time Vogelbach hit 30 homers in a season, and Jake brought this up before the show, so I don't want to take credit for this, was 2019 with the Seattle Mariners. And here's the crazy part.
No one remembers him on the Mariners.
No, well, of course, no one watches them. But let's be clear. We know that he was a part-time player. So here's what we did. We did this funny thing called combining all of his stats so that we know what he would do over the course of a 162-game season. And long behold, wouldn't you know, at no point or another in a full 162-game season would he have hit more than 20 home runs. Could you imagine if someone said, hey, yeah, that guy Anthony Volpe hit 20 homers last year. He's only looking to just hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's got mammo power. No, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't have Volpe go up to the plate and say, this is a power guy. No. Vogelbach is a station-to-station contact bat who hits 200.
He is a meme. That's all Vogelbach is. He is a meme. He bats 220. He has a 752 career OPS. He's got 80 total home runs since 2016. He's a meme. I mean, people look at how big he is and they're like, oh, that guy probably hits home runs like crazy. Base paths, when he's on them, I would pinch run him immediately.
The dude, well, first off, the ball was hit. Okay, the ball was directly in front of this guy. The ball was hit to the shortstop. He just starts wandering over to third base like he was invisible. You can't do that when you're playing professional baseball. Now I get it. You can make mistakes, but let's be clear about exactly the situation that was at hand. They were down 4 runs. Okay. His only job, let's be clear, his job wasn't to sprint down to third base or go second to home. No, Daniel Vogelbach is not scoring on a hit from second base. So he literally, this is his job, and I'm here to tell him, if a ball is hit into the field at all, if it's not forcing you to go to the next base, you should be standing exactly where you are. That's your job.
Vogelbach has never stolen a base.
In his career?
In his career.
In 575 games.
Like dude, even Stanton is he's stolen bases before.
Well, Albert Pujols has stolen a ton of bases, and we're talking about 40-year-old Albert Pujols.
I mean,
still has the wherewithal to steal bags situationally.
Yeah, I mean, like Anthony Rizzo, he steals bases. I mean, he's not like a base stealer, so to speak. Like I'm not.
He's not a barn burner, but there's part of being a professional.
He stole 6 in 2022. I mean,
0.
It's 0, like straight up.
He also didn't hit any home runs, pretty much.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to look at this highway robbery that is his roster spot. I mean, we were sitting here complaining about Giancarlo. I mean, we should be bowing at his feet.
I would take Giancarlo over him. Another thing I'll say is this, and this is kind of the funny part about the trade deadline. We get caught up in, and not we as in you and I, but like people get caught up in the whole idea of like, oh, they need a bat. It's like, no, they need a good bat. Like they don't need just anybody.
Wait, hold on. They're just like this. There's Vogelbach. He's just he's there. Hey, what's his job? To hit home runs. Hey, Ron, he doesn't really hit any home runs. Yeah, but he's big, so he should be fine. He's a bat. That's literally the approach.
When the Mets traded for him and they were like, oh, they got their bat. I was like, what?
He has a bat in his locker.
So with the Pirates, he had 12 homers and he was batting 228. And they were like, oh, this guy is incredible. Like, yeah, that's something. Or like an arm. Oh yeah, we need to get an arm at the deadline. Like, and then you see it's like a guy who has a 9 ERA, and he's like, well, he was good back in 2017. It's like, oh, so you literally meant just anybody to pitch. Like,
Anyone.
It's like I might as well just do open, open tryouts. Hey, anyone out there that's watching our games in the stands want to come out and be our bat or pitch? I always got a kick out of that. I always thought that was funny. I mean, that's Vogelbach in a nutshell. Now, to be fair, he's an MLB player, to be fair. But yeah, funny way to end the show. I thought, like, just
did you see the movie The Joker, the first one?
Yes.
That was the same year that the last time Daniel Vogelbach was hitting home runs. So there you go. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to clown on the guy or anything like that. All I'm doing essentially is questioning why he's on the field, because if he's not going to run the bases well, he's not going to hit home runs. Obviously, he's not playing the field. What is the job? That's what I question. Is having a bat just somebody who owns bats and goes up to the plate? Because if that's the case, then yeah, Toronto got themselves a nice bat. Now, again, that doesn't mean Vogelbach won't ever do anything, because we had this conversation about Stanton. Yeah, like it doesn't mean he won't ever do something, but consistently, yeah, there's not going to be anything there.
No. Yeah, so hopefully, I'd imagine tomorrow Stanton will be in the lineup, just coming off that. Then again, I don't know, because Waldo was killing it.
2 bombs.
Yeah, Good God. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see, but I think it's going to be a blowout. I'm going to go 8-1.
Okay.
I think, I think they're going to have no issue tomorrow. I don't know. I have a good feeling about it. I really don't think France is going to do anything. And I think Heel is going to do something. I think Heel goes 5 2/3 innings, actually, and gets the win.
That's a great outing.
Yeah, great outing. He gets the win. Jake Cousins comes in, he pitches 40, 50, throws 40, 50 pitches, gets another 4 strikeout game because, he's doing his thing. And then I think they probably wrap it up with, I don't know, I think Nick Birdie.
Why not?
Because that gets you through. Because, I mean, Cousins giving you maybe 2-3 innings.
Birdie Cousins shouldn't have a problem going multiple. So if Heel gives what you said he's going to give, well, we shouldn't have an issue getting through the game. And obviously the key is just scoring. For the love of God, if we can just score, it answers a lot of our problems tomorrow. So I'm looking for the bats to come out and assert themselves early.
Gotta save that bullpen, because you got the mighty Marlins coming, who have not won a game yet. So, yeah. But no, I'm always a fan of saving the bullpen if you can. So I think Heel gives them 5 2/3 tomorrow. Again, kind of, he sees the competition between him and Schmidt. That's my thought process. But
the Marlins told me they need an arm, so I'm ready to go.
My God.
I'm ready.
An arm and a bat. If you guys know what we're talking about, put arm and bat in the comment section. We will absolutely be laughing. With that said, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. You can follow me at JK Bogan. You can follow my guy over there, Gary Sheffield Jr. at Gary Sheffield Jr. and follow the show at Yankees Unloaded on all social media. We'll be back, obviously, to give you a recap of tomorrow's game. But you guys take care. Until then, we'll see you guys soon.
And don't forget to like this video.